Hi there, my name is Ron Rogers, and I had some of my followers suggest I talk about the T-38. And the T-38 is really my all-time favorite aircraft. I absolutely love the aircraft. This film that you're seeing here was a Air Force promotional film that was produced in 1972. I went into pilot training in 1973. So all these guys you see here, yeah, they're old codgers like me now. That's how long ago this film was. But, man, I just loved the T-38. And what you saw there was T-41s. We had our class was split, kind of a test. Some of us went through the civilian FIP, Flight Introduction Program, civilianly, and other guys went through the T-41 at Hondo, which was really set up to train to how to fly in the military. And that's a big thing. The military is very specific on how they want you to fly. And of course, they don't use the T-41s anymore. They start guys out in the T-6s, and they don't use the T-37s. I started out as a FAPE. That was my first assignment instructor pilot. I got about 1,000 hours, a little bit over 1,000 hours as an instructor in the T-37. And there is the Tweety Bird, the only aircraft designed to convert JP4 into noise, the 6,000-pound dog whistle. But it did its job well. And there's the 38 in the back. We had a washout rate of, about 25%. They tried to wash out people before it got more expensive. So I love the T-38. There's a group of people, would-be Air Force pilots, who probably don't agree with me because they either washed out in the T-37 or they never got to the T-38. And that's unfortunate. And now, of course, they split the programs. And if you're not designated fighter or instructor, you don't even get to fly the 38. And that's kind of unfortunate. But we washed out a lot of people who would have been good transport pilots, and just, they couldn't handle the 38. Now, I am going to let the audio play and come back on the part. Like I said, this was a graduation film. We showed this at graduation, and it's been 45 years since I flew this airplane, but watching this with the music, it just chokes me up. I can't really talk over it. It just, every time I watch it, and I've seen it so many times, it just choked me up. Now, they made the T-38. They upgraded the A and B models we had into the C models, and the avionics upgrade was great, of course, but they screwed some things up with the air intake, and they got a little transsonic spike issue where it can kind of disturb the airflow, and you can have some engine issues when you're going fast. And I heard the guys don't even get a dollar right anymore where they go supersonic. I mean, here you'd have guys, typically we got just over 100 hours of total flight time, and we're flying this airplane solo. I mean, what a kick in the pants is that. And it just goes to show you that, the Air Force really has a tight grip on you, but if you have an intensive training program, you can put people in a very advanced aircraft, and they do just fine. And I'm going to talk about the T-38 at the end of this film, where you see Who Has Touched the Sky, because I just want you to watch that. It is so... it's so moving to me, and I think anybody who has flown the T-38. So I'm just going to let you watch that. And then I'm going to talk in another little sequence here, kind of the characteristics of the T-38. So, hey, sit back, relax, and enjoy this part of the video. This was the graduation when the guys made it through. They got their wings, and gals got their wings now. Back then we only had guys. But now when they get their pilot wings, they can sit back and go on to their next training program and their final aircraft that they get after pilot training. So sit back and watch and enjoy.
Sneaky one clear for takeoff.
Yeah, we should smooth so right off.
Touch coming by, none but the few who knew the night by its first the color of the day. Who has touched the sky? Sing the clouds as they went singing by, none but the few who knew the sun by its first name, the color of the moon. There have been some among us, some who wore love like a child's smile. They touched the sky, man and eye to eye, just by loving one another for a little while.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. Look at there, he's got the tail number on the canopy. That would have helped a little bit when I lost the canopy at 500 knots on a maintenance test flight. And pushes up on the canopy, yeah, I don't think that would have caught my loose latch that caused the problem with mine. But this guy's a photo ship here, and you notice one interesting thing. It's, of course, this video is taken from the instructor position in the back seat. You get a lot of glare off of the front canopy there. But this is a fun, powerful aircraft. It weighs 12,500 pounds, fully loaded with fuel, and 6,000 pounds of thrust and afterburner. So it's a it's a 0.5 ratio. It's not a 15 or a 16 or anything like that, but it performs. It has a top end speed of a 710 equivalent knots airspeed, climb rate of 30,000 feet per minute, and a roll rate of 720 degrees per second. Now there's a fun little thing that says don't do continuous aileron rolls with more than 3/4 stick deflection, or you'll basically screw yourself up. They're prohibited because it'll really mess up your inner ear, and they actually had a student killed doing that because he's so messed up his inner ear he couldn't maintain control of the aircraft. But here we get on the runway. Now the way this works is you get on the runway, you check 100% power, make sure all the engine instruments look good, release the brakes, and you go into full afterburner. And this thing accelerates rapidly. When you hit about 135 knots, you start a little back pressure on the stick. 145, the nose wheel comes off, and the aircraft flies off at about 160 knots. And you got to get the gear and flaps up quick because you'll overspeed them at the 240 knot speed limit because you'll hit that fast. You got about 6 seconds to get that. And here he's getting the gear up, and he does a little turn off because he's the photo chase guy on this four-ship. But you can see how nice and crisp the aileron rolls are. It is a cool, fast, fun-flying aircraft. And the first time I flew it as a student, I got a death grip on the stick. And of course, you got guys and gals just over 100 hours of total flight time in this aircraft. We're flying a supersonic aircraft solo that has such amazing performance. But the Air Force, the thing about the Air Force and the military is they have such tight control over the pilots that you can put that level of inexperience in the aircraft like this, and the people can still do a great job. You can kind of see the force ship off to the left there. He's doing a rejoin on it. And typically, you'll climb out at 280 to 300 knots. So it's a moving aircraft, and it's a lot of fun. And the funny thing is, the airspeed indicator goes from 0 to 710, and it's not even a full sweep. We had a special airspeed indicator for pacing out at Edwards on our flight test chase aircraft in the T-38s. That one swing of the needle was 100 knots, and we had a roller drum. So when you took off, we'd take off, keep it in burner, keep it right on the deck, get the gear and flaps up immediately, keep it right on the deck, and accelerate. And we could hit 500 knots at the end of the runway, and just watching that needle just wind up was really fun. And then we'd do a nice burner climb from the deck. This wasn't air training command bases, and it was special use airspace, so we could do a lot of things. And I had a flight test engineer on a flight said, "Will this thing really climb at 30,000 feet per minute?" And I said, "Well, let's take a look." We were at 5,000 feet in special use airspace, so I accelerated to 0.98 Mach, which is the optimum climb speed schedule on the 38 for that. And I hit the clock, and we started up. And 58 seconds later, we went through 35,000 feet. So we go from 5,000 feet to 35,000 feet in 58 seconds. And I'm going, man, that's even slightly better than 30,000 feet per minute on a stock aircraft, without an optimum fuel load. So that's pretty impressive. And the T-38 is, okay, it's simple to fly. There are people who washed out who may not agree with that. It was an aircraft you had to be ahead of because it was fast, but it was simple to fly, simple to maintain. It was great for the chase job. And most of what I flew, I flew it as a student, but then most of what I flew was as a chase pilot. I got some time, not so much as an instructor, checking people out at Edwards and giving flight exams, because I was the senior flight examiner in the T-38. But it was kind of interesting. We one time went out to Vandenberg Air Force Base. I was supposed to chase the B-1, and I've got my orange flight suit, and we had the astronaut paint job on the T-38. They just glistened. And most of the T-38s in the training command, well, all of them, had this horrible paint job. You can see on these aircraft now it's all improved, but they had this horrible paint job that looked like chalking white house paint. It was just horrible. And this guy parks next to me with his student, and look at the force ship up there, and he says, "Why do your airplanes look so nice?" And I said, "Well, we have the crew chiefs just polish them up." And he kind of looked at me fun, went in, they were ready for us to be one, so we came out, hopped in with the photographer in the back seat, started up, and he's still doing the pre-flight inspection. And we start up, taxi out, and as he's taxiing off, I take off. So I thought, well, I just need to give him a nice little takeoff here. So I did a nice little vertical pull up, did a quarter roll over into the Pacific Test Range to go find the B-1 out there. And here we are, flying over. There's a Randolph base right there. That's where Air Training Command is headquartered. And they're flying the little force ship over there for fun. Possibly a graduation ceremony, I don't know, but just cruising around and having a really fun time flying the airplane. And of course, like I said, there's the force ship, and they're in loose root formation. They're not in the tight fingertip, but anyway, he's coming along with them, and we're going to come back around to enter into the pattern and land. Now, on this video, they don't show you a nice pitch out of the force ship or that. They actually don't go into the pitch out much, but typically you come down initial down the runway at 1,500 feet and 280 knots. We out at Edwards used a common speed of 300, and although I've done it one time at 500, but that's a different story, chasing the F-15 and 16 on a performance comparison, but I digress. But anyway, you come down 300 knots, you pitch out, and it's a 6-degree 2G pitch out. As you roll out, you're below 240 now, and you can get the gear down. You start the flaps coming down. Final turn is 175 knots plus a few extra knots for the fuel load, and the final is flown at 155 knots, a little extra, depending on if you've got extra fuel. And you can see the runway out there. They're coming down. The guy's getting a little more tight into fingertip position, but he's still kind of a little loose out there. Yeah, they're getting closer to look better here. And we're going to come down initial, and the whole flight is going to pitch out, and then they'll just land on the runway and exit. The little silver hose you see there, that's the gas hose for the ejection seat mechanism there if you have to punch out. There's another little hose. You could see it when he closed the canopy. That's the pressurization hose into a little fitting there, and if that pops out, you suddenly lose pressurization in the canopy seal, and the canopy gets kind of noisy because it starts vibrating. But I digress. Anyway, coming down initial here, and we're going to come around into the final turn eventually here. Still a little bit cruising over the countryside, and just an absolutely beautiful and responsive aircraft. And just a joy to fly, and so many pilots were trained with this aircraft. And of course now they have split up the program where, well, the 38s are going away, and that's kind of sad. And when they went to the C model, they had a more efficient intake, but it wasn't a very good test program, and they had a little spike issue on the inlet that caused a little airflow disturbance going supersonic. And I guess they don't have supersonic dollar rides anymore, which was the first ride you get to go supersonic, and that really just made the people fall in love with the aircraft. That was just an absolute blast, and I hear they don't do that anymore. And that is just a shame, because that was one of the fun parts of the whole thing of flying the aircraft, was that supersonic flight. But here we are coming down initial here, burning taxpayers' fuel. And that's Randolph Air Force Base again. Spent a fair amount of time down there. All right, now we're going to get serious here, and we're going to do a pitch out, and we're going to come around and land. Yeah, this aircraft is just a joy to fly in formation. It's really responsive, and you are just dedicated with that wingtip on the fuselage there. I'm not sure what they use right now, because we used wingtip in the Star, and with the new paint job they don't have it. But I was out at Edwards on the wing, and I'm glued to that wingtip in the Star, and all of a sudden the guy in the back seat, who happened to be my boss, by the way, starts laughing. And I go, what? And he says, look up. And when I look up, I see ground above me. That's how concentrating I was, on what was going on. That lead took me through an aileron roll, and I hadn't even realized it. But if you hold position, it doesn't matter if you're right side up or upside down, as long as you're doing, positive 1G. If we'd gone negative, that would have been a whole different ball game. But here we are on final, and you notice it is a fast airplane. We're really scooting here. But that's why it was so much fun to fly, and I just had a great time flying this out at Edwards, because Edwards is just a real flying club out there. We had a lot of freedoms that Air Training Command never got with their airplanes, and we could operate in a fashion that Training Command had to keep a tight rein on the pilots. And so I understand that, but Edwards, which, we had the greatest pilots in the world out there, and it just gave us a lot of freedom to operate and have a lot of fun. So here we are exiting the runway. I hope you enjoyed the little babbling about the T-38. Like I said, my favorite aircraft. I think I've said that once or twice. Anyway, I threw the on the end of here, you can watch the full recruiting video and enjoy the whole discussion that they put in on that. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting.
Keep going. 1, 2, 3. Ho! 1, 2, 3. Ho! 1, 2.
Laredo Tower. This is ARC 81, turning left base for landing, initial solo.
Pitch steering bar will come into view.
Roger, ARC 81. Report left base for runway 14.
Okay, today we have a cambered airfoil installed in the wind tunnel.
The angle of attack increases, then the boundary layer separates over the top.
Runway RCR 17. Laredo Tower, ARC 81, left base, initial solo. Roger, ARC 81. You are cleared to land runway 14. The wind is 160 degrees at 08 knots. Altimeter is 299.5.
Okay, release the brakes.
Tell us anything that you feel different.
Roger, Tower. Am on final approach for landing, and thanks.
Battery switch is on. Ejection seat hand grips are fully stowed. Oxygen check on. Normal blinking. We've got 70 psi with 6 liters. All normal. Circuit breakers are set. Gear doors guarded normal. Flight directors on. Rudder trims in the neutral. Flaps are off. Throttles are off. Landing gear alternate extension is stowed.
Just a minute, sir. Make sure you get your speed brake switch all the way to third position.
Oh, okay, real good. Plus or minus 75 from the field elevation. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. BVI is normal. Compass and bank fuel shutoff switches are guarded normal. Landing gear alternate extension is stowed. Landing taxi light switch is off. Gear lever is down. 3 green are indication. Clock is set. Airspeed indicator will set critical engine failure speed 121 today.
So all we do is smoothly fly the nose up above the horizon so that at 45 degrees of turn, we've actually achieved a pitch attitude of about 30 degrees nose high. Okay, and then we just coordinatedly roll the aircraft to the horizon to hit this point at 90 degrees of turn with 200 knots. Okay, and at the same time, we've got our 90 degrees of bank in, and our nose goes click right through the horizon in there, nice and smooth.
Sir, when I was doing that, I kept finding myself overshooting that 90-degree point. What was the problem there?
The problem that you had in here is that you were pulling the nose up here, bleeding the airspeed off too fast.
Runway 33, stand by. 1040 degrees at 10.
Battery switch is on.
Blanco Dart, taxi in position and hold, acknowledge.
Blanco Dart, taxi in position and hold.
Normal on blinker and 80 pounds.
Sneaky 5, taxi in position and hold, acknowledge, hold.
Sneaky 5, going to hold.
Gear door switch.
Sneaky 2, taxi in position and hold, acknowledge.
Sneaky 2 on, hold.
Lever off. Throttle off. Speed brake switch open. Compass switch wide. Fuel filling switches normal. Landing gear alternate release center.
Charge, land down, number 1, over 21, west 2.
That is affirmative. Altitude is 0.
Speed brake.
Coming up. 2 in-flight check-ins. 2.
Taxiway is clear.
Runway 230, Bull 60.
Moved out right.
Sneaky 1, cleared for takeoff.
Yeah, we should smooth flow right off.
The went singing by. None but the few who knew the sun by its first name. The color of the moon. There have been some who walked among us, some who wore love like a child's smile. They touched the sky, met eye to eye, just by loving one